Hello and a very warm welcome back to Airport CEO here on Bongo Plains. It has been quite some time, but after finishing last season I needed a little bit of a break, and then I was starting to think of scenarios, basically which airports we could still recreate. And basically when I want to start a new project, and especially when I want to start a new project where I try to recreate an airport that exists in real life, I want to know the airport so that I have an idea about how and what I am building. And the more I know about the airport, the easier it is. And then I came up with 3 airports that I thought I could comfortably, or at least to some degree, recreate, and where I would have enough knowledge, enough experience on my own to do just that. And the 3 airports I came up with was Athens Airport, Corfu and Geneva Airport, and then I put that up to a vote on the community tab, and you guys decided that Geneva Airport, that would be the next project here on the channel with Airport CEO. And I'm quite happy about that, because for quite a few years Geneva Airport was basically my home base, and I was flying in and out of this airport quite a lot. Now, Geneva Airport, of course, will give us a few challenges. The airport is the second largest airport in Switzerland and uniquely placed between the Swiss Alps and the Jura Mountains. Now, why does this airport give us some challenges? It's not because of the mountains, because we will basically ignore those. I mean, none of the mountains are that close to the airport. It's just that the airport is placed in between these 2 mountain ranges. No, the challenges are more based on the architecture, because of course some things we just can't replicate here in the game. So we will have to work our way around some of these things, just like we always do. But I do think that I have come up with some ideas how we can pull that off. And the biggest challenge actually is with the architecture, basically that we have, of course, different levels, but mainly streets can only be on ground level. Now, that might sound extremely logical, but of course at airports sometimes streets are also above ground. We can build underneath, but we can't build above ground, and that is a problem with Geneva Airport, where the drop-off zone for cars and taxis and buses, that's all on basically level 1. But before we go any further with this video, let's quickly get a little overview of the area this airport is actually placed in and what we need to look out for. I mean, obviously the airport is close to Geneva, at the Geneva Lake, and we have the Swiss Alps and we have the Jura Mountains on each side of the airport that we have already discussed. But if we go closer in towards the airport, we can see, there is not much space. We have here parts of Geneva, and then we have a highway, so that we have basically already built, or at least tried to replicate. And right up next to the highway we then have the airport, and in here we have the drop-off zones underneath. So on ground floor level, basically, we have, for example, the arrival area, and we have some short-term parking. And then on first floor level, we have some streets coming up, where we then have the drop-off zones for cars and taxis. And we do also over here at this building, where we actually have a train station, but there we also have bus stops for public transport. So all this is rather condensed, because obviously right over here then we have the actual terminal of Geneva Airport. So this is of course a challenge, how we can place so many things in so little space. Now in the game we could just ignore that and just build it as wide as we want, but of course we try to recreate it as close as possible, so this will definitely be a challenge. So one of the first things I like to do in the game is actually get some landmarks down, because then we can use those to orient ourselves to see, how can we fit the airport into the game space we have here. And on one far end of the airport we have some large hangar facilities, so that's basically the first thing I will be placing down. So this is basically one far end of the airport, and from there we can then work our way around. Now, Geneva Airport has many things to offer, and there are some facts that might not be that known, at least not beyond the local spotters and a few other enthusiasts of the airport. And one of the things is that the airport actually has 2 runways. The main runway obviously used by civil aviation, but there is also a smaller runway north of that, which is basically only used by general aviation. You see, one of the biggest challenges we will have in this game is actually trying to fit everything into the game world. That is somewhere where we need to do some compromising. We have basically established one far end of our airport with the hangar area, but the other far end of the real Geneva Airport we can't reach because we don't have enough space. I mean, one thing is that the runways in the game are far too short to be realistic, but even if they had a realistic length, we couldn't really fit it into this game world. So I've decided that the other far end of our airport area here will be where Geneva Airport recently has opened their new international terminal. So this is where they're handling wide-body aircraft that are flying overseas. So I'm placing down some wide-body stands just to mark up that this is basically the other far end, and everything that is beyond that in real life, well, we either have to abandon or somehow squeeze in around here. Now, I'm sure you're already catching the drift of the season, and that is of course overcoming challenges, because there are plenty of those in trying to replicate Geneva Airport, because despite the size of the airport, it actually has a surprisingly amount of curiosities, like for example having a French sector within the Swiss airport, or for example the small satellite terminals, and so on and so on. And we will get through all of these throughout the season. And of course, ultimately, hopefully we will manage to overcome all these challenges and find solutions and integrate them into this project. But right now, to begin with, the challenge is of course simply to place everything down, or basically place the most basic things down. So the foundation, placing all the stands down so that we have a reference as to how things correlate to each other, and to make sure that it somehow, or at least to some degree, matches up with real life. And from there work our way around the airport. But one thing that I'm also really excited about is that, well, since we've picked Geneva Airport, is that back in 2015 I was actually working in Geneva, and I had the opportunity to go to the airport and record there, film there, also on the air side. So you might already have noticed that there are some shots here in the video from Geneva Airport, and I will use those and others throughout the season when we're talking about specific things. But if you would like to see a fully edited video with some of that footage, well, actually back in 2015 I did just that and put it here up on my channel. I think it's a little hidden gem by now, but if you are interested in that little edited video, well, then I will let it pop up here in the top right corner of the video right now, or you can also find a link to that in the video description below. But I'm very excited for this new season of Airport CEO here on the channel, and look forward to all your comments, all your feedback, and all your input. This can only become great. Now with that, it is time to end today's video. So if you have enjoyed this video and are excited for the new season, then be sure to smash the like button, and of course, if you are new around here, why not hit subscribe. With that, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.